about DA issues as they relate to owning a business and to support the vision of being self-employed. In order to keep the focus on our program, we ask that you not read from or mention outside literature in your share. Our speaker, Nick, has come to share his experience, strength, and hope with us in the specific areas of the BDA toolkit and the steps of DA. Welcome, Nick.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nick. I'm a recovering debtor under earner, and I'm going to start adding business owner. It's been suggested of me. Good morning, LADA family. It's good to see you all. I'm powerless over buying new toothpaste right now. And it used to be shower curtains. Shower curtains was how I got in here. Because I was powerless over buying myself a new shower curtain. And I did not know what deprivation was at first. So let me sort of go back here. I came into program because I ran a Kickstarter campaign for a film about 4.5 years ago, and I raised about $20,000. And if you have issues around money and you've probably never had more than $1,000 in your bank account, when they plunk $17,500 in your account, it gets a little scary. And what I started doing was, so I think the money for the film that we were going to make came in can everybody hear me in the back? I'm going to scoot forward, bring this closer to my mouth. Is that a little bit better?
Yes.
Great. Even higher, Angel? Yeah. Even more? I'm going to do my best. You feeling good? Okay, good. And so the money came in, I think, in May. We were going to shoot in August. And I started slowly borrowing money from that reserve. And I did it to take this woman on dates and pay every time. Because I was sure that was the way to make her like me. And what I started doing was, and now there's this feeling I get around unmanageability. It's sort of now I really can feel it, but I started writing checks from my other checking account back to the money for the film for future dates to pay it back. Like I was like, 15 days from now, I'll give $300 back. And I was just telling myself, like, I'm gonna pay this money back. Like, it's gonna happen. And we made the film, and then the bills came due for all the vendors and everybody who worked on the film. And we were like, I'd borrowed like about $2,000 from it. And so what I did was, I told nobody I did it. I was working at a restaurant in New York City at the time. I just worked like 6 days a week and didn't buy myself anything to pay it back. So that was my first sort of invitation or illustration of my own deprivation. So cut to about 4 or 5 months later, and I was actually doing an acting workshop with a very powerful teacher, and he said to the entire group, he said, just out loud for no reason, he said, if you're having problems with money and debt, you need to go to Debtors Anonymous and find out who you're debting to. And that day I was about to do my scene, and I had gotten a $3,500 tax return a few weeks earlier, probably 3 weeks earlier, and I had to borrow money from my scene partner to eat that day. So I was like, I think that sounds like me. And so I started my very first DA meeting was at the church on 53rd Street in Lexington, in New York City, and there were, I think, 3 people there. And I was like, is this what this is? Like, is this DA? I was like, okay, I'll just keep coming. So I went to that meeting a few more times, and I eventually found this meeting that, I don't know if there's any former New Yorkers or current New Yorkers here, but it's called the Fear of Success meeting on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on the Bowery in the YMCA. And I found that meeting, and much like this meeting, it was like people were talking about their feelings. Like, we're talking about money, but people were talking about like really vulnerable stuff, and this issue, this thing that I always think of when I think of DA, which is to me what working the steps and working this program gives me, this thing that I like to think of as enoughness. Because I'm just always sure that I'm never enough. It doesn't matter what you say to me or what the universe says to me or you know, what's going on in my life. Something is wrong and deficient. And that is sort of where all of my debting spirals out from. I was raised in a very middle-class family with a single mother, and we always lived in really wealthy areas. For instance, before I moved to New York City, I was there for 14 and a half years. I lived in Irvine for high school, and we didn't have the money that the Irvine people did, but my mom would always sort of debt to make up the gap, and that was sort of my model. So I found, especially in looking at where all my debting originated from, is that it was always me being with friends or being with groups and wanting to make up that gap, because I didn't feel like just being me was really enough to hang out. You know, I remember I had a friend, and we both had Citibank Plus checking lines of credit, and we used to joke about like raising it. You know, this was before the crash, and we're like, oh, mine's $6,000, mine's $7,000. But like, he was like a responsible adult, and he paid it back, and I was just like raising it and never paying it back. But I wanted to keep up with him, you know, he was cool, he was my friend, I thought it was the cool thing to do. And, you know, that the first thing I did when I got into this program, I think it was about July 2014, is, you know, and this is a controversial topic, even for people still in program. I get texts from people in New York that ask me recently. Someone said, it was a female friend of mine in program there. She said, Nick, as a DA person, like, what do you do on dates? And like, I still don't have the answer, but at first, I stopped paying every single time. And I realized that this desire to pay every single time was because I just didn't think I was enough. You know, I didn't think it was enough to just be with me. I had to freaking pay for everything. Now, that's, you know, we could get into all sorts of things around the paying, but that was, you know, sort of my telltale. And as I worked the steps, I realized that, you know, I had all sorts of unmanageability and craziness around debting and money I owed friends, and I knew I needed this program. Another thing that happened was that film that I had come into program sort of to make was sitting on a hard drive in my closet for almost 2 years. And in my first pressure meetings, they were like, so what's going on with this film that you spend a lot of money on? I was like, well, we still have to shoot some more footage, and you know, I don't know, we're trying to get this actress that's a series regular to be in this scene. And they're like, but do you think you could just finish it with what you have now? And I was like, yeah, but I told her she was gonna be in it. And they're like, so like your people pleasing is stopping you from just finishing this thing. And through like 5 PRGs, like my first big DA miracle was this film got finished. Like that was just like a DA miracle, because that thing was, I was never gonna go back to it. I was done with it in my mind, right? We shot principal photography, it's done, that's what you do, right? That was really like my big first DA miracle, and that was recovery, because it was just accepting the film as it was. It was finding an editor that was not the most expensive in the whole world, and you know, I think I asked my dad with the help of DA folks for about $1,000, and that finished the movie. And I'm still sort of working in my 9-step amends to sort of get back to everyone on that Kickstarter and say, okay, you know, the film's been finished for a while. I'm still trying to finish those rewards out, and it kind of feels like a forever process. But also, when I came into this program, I was so far away from being a working person in entertainment, it was not even funny. I remember meeting with my first action partner, and she was like, so what is your vision? I was like, well, I really want to do like, you know, like downtown theater and like regional theater. And they were like, You know, that's like sort of the most under-earning acting thing, right? And I was like super indignant. I was like, you don't know, okay? Like, I'm a serious person. This is what I'm serious, okay? This is what serious people do. And it's just amazing how my vision in working this program has sort of really shifted over time and led me here to California. You know, I have about 3.5 years under my belt in this program. I sponsor people. I have a sponsor. I guess I have a sponsor now in LA and New York, which is, hey, pretty abundant, right? Like, you're good on both coasts if something goes wrong. I started with the help of my pressure people to make some money in entertainment, which was really cool. What was happening was I was a compulsive acting class taker. So like I was in like the best acting classes with the best teachers for years, and I was like the star of those classes. Like I'm like, I don't need to be in the real world because I'm like the best actor in this class. You know, and like that teacher knows like how special I am. And I remember I had a PRG, it was life-changing. And the woman said, she goes, how much longer are you gonna, how long is that? I got 5? That sounds right. She said, how much longer are you gonna debt to your vision to, you know, not make any money? And she was like, don't you think you're a good enough actor now to make some money? So I just, it was really hard, and I had to have like a lot of people, because I was so, you know, my thing with pressure meetings and with people who want to help me grow in this program is they tell me things, and I immediately think how wrong they are, and how, like, I'm like, you don't know me. Like, I'm like, you don't know me. It's like Jerry Springer, I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know me. And then like 3 months later, I'm like, oh my God, they're right. So getting off acting classes was like, I mean, must have been like getting off of some kind of drug for somebody, because I was like, no, give it to me. And I just stopped going to acting classes and then magically started making money acting. Like, it was just like magic. Like, I was like, oh, like I got a manager, and like I booked a few TV jobs, and like I was like, you know, like my first TV job, there was a lot of overtime and a lot of residuals, and like I was like, oh, you can make money doing this. So that was a whole lesson, and you know, so my new sort of growth thing last year that, you know, my last transformation that I was sure had saved me last year was meditating a whole lot, you know, and I was doing these really long 2-hour meditations, and everybody, they're incredible, by the way, if you have the time, do it. But everybody was like, I'd tell people that, and it was like you told them something terrible. They were like, really? Oh, I'm like, oh, wow, is everything okay? Like, and, but what I got from those meditations was a vision started arising that this life I was living in New York, which was like in the same studio for 6 years, it was a great, very small studio in a great neighborhood, but was like, I was living this sort of smallish life, and I was just sort of okay to let it be that way. Like, I was like, I just feel like I'm kind of always running around, like sprinting around, never cooking food, just my whole life's grab and go, and just like barely making enough because I live in New York, and money just sort of spills out of your pocket onto the street when you walk down the streets. Not like LA is that much better. And I started getting this vision through my meditations. I was like, I really want to be closer to my family, which was, boy, this program has given me a lot of, like, I like my family all of a sudden. It's crazy, because I put those 3,000 miles between us 14 years ago because I needed those 3,000 miles. I needed to figure out me. And so all of a sudden I was like, I want to be near my family. My cousin's got these kids I just love, and I'm like, I want to be near them. Like, what am I doing out here? And so I moved to Los Angeles 64 days ago. And thank you. I think I've been saying the days. Soon I will stop saying the days, I promise. And I just got into the program, and I had a PRG recently, and the thing that was coming out of these meditations was I was like, I stopped wanting anything. Like, I was like, I don't need anything. Like, my vision is whatever. Like, It's like taking the third step too far. And this is a thing that, it really is. It's a thing we always talk about, because how do you meld the third step with a vision, right? Like, it's a thing that people always talk about. So what my PRG people said, which was fantastic, thank you, was you might be conflating openness with vagueness. And so I realized I knew exactly what my vision was, and my therapist said this too. He's like, I think this, like, I don't care what I do is just a pose, because you fear really going for it. And so I was like, they were like, well, you need to do some vision work. I'm like, no, I know exactly what I want to do. I just don't want to say it or go towards it, Like, I want to be a showrunner, and I want to be the star of that show, which sounds terrifying to say it to you all here. That's 1 minute? Beautiful, thank you. I'm wrapping up. So I'm back to wanting things again, which is like, it feels scary, and it feels scary to say it out loud, but what they said to me, which I loved, is they said, it's like you say you want to be like an Olympic athlete, like a gold medal athlete, and then when they say, like, in what discipline, you just say, oh, sports. Because I was just like, well, I'm in LA, like, I'll just do anything in the entertainment industry. I'm talented, I have ideas, but like, no, I'm a writer. That's what I do, I'm a writer. So this program has just given me, I say hello, LA DA family, because this is my family and my network and my support system, and it's really grown me up in crazy ways I could have never imagined. And the promises really come true. I know it sounds cheesy sometimes at the end, but they really come true, and they are coming true in my life over and over again. And there's always more room for growth in this program. There's always more room to keep opening up the box, is what I found, and sort of more levels and layers. So if you're new, keep coming. And if you've been here for a while, like, see if you can just bring a beginner's mind back to the work, because it just keeps giving you more life and more expansion. I think that's it. Thanks for letting me share.